watching or listening.
Who's
Hey,
that?
hey, hey, everyone. This is Mary at Dear Mary. Today I have a special co host. His name is Ray Gonzalez from Dent Effect, right? You want to tell a little bit about yourself, Ray? I'll let you have the podium here.
Okay, sure. Hello, everybody. And before we get started, Mary, I just want to say thank you. Uh, I appreciate that you've invited me to be on. Uh, I used to manage a body shop, and it was going nowhere. In the idea that I couldn't promote, I was at the limit as
Mhm.
in a managerial position. And one day, a buddy of mine and me, we decided we're gonna go to PDR school, and so we went to school with Mike. Uh, and in the process of going to school, we moved to Las Vegas from Alaska, and we started up Den Effect. Uh, and we started advertising. Went to work. Um, my wife, we're working class people, so my wife was out applying for jobs, and she came home one day and she's like, "Look, we're gonna have to figure this out because I ain't working for these fools." And and
Fools.
so
Just
yeah,
kidding.
and so I started training my wife as much as I knew, and we had work, so we started working, and uh, and then my oldest daughter Melissa moved down, who you know well,
Mhm,
uh, and she's like, "Look, Dad, if you train Mom, you can train me, and if you have the work, we can all work together."
mhm,
And so we did that,
mhm.
and then Mo and Cruz moved down, and Mo's very good, and and Mo was like, "Look, Dad, if you can train them, you definitely can train me." And so and so uh, and we had to work, and so uh, all three ladies eventually went to advanced training with Mike, and we work here in Las Vegas. And my youngest daughter Zelina is now doing PDR, and she's scheduled to go get some advanced push training with Mike probably in October, I think.
Mhm.
And that's the Den Effect story.
Yeah, that's the Dan effect story. And I think it's because you started it, but then they probably have some kind of a struggles, right? That's why they came to Mike and have
Yeah.
Mike taught them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I remember that
I,
when
I could only bring them along as far as I knew. And don't forget, I was a baby PDR technician. I mean, comparatively with some of the people that I talk to, that are very, very good. And I don't mean any disrespect to any of them. They're
Mhm,
very good. Uh, I I'm still a baby. Like I still have a lot of growing to do and a lot of growing pains,
mhm.
uh, and we all struggle. I mean, the ladies, me, we all struggle sometimes. You know?
Still like learning some of this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, you know what? Life is about like learning for, I should say like for the rest of our lives. I'm
Sure.
still learning about stuff, you know what I mean? Anything that I can learn about. Like in this case, it's like for the longest time, we didn't really, accept insurance claim and all that stuff. Cause I told Mike when we started the business, I don't want any headaches. It's not worth it for me.
Right.
I just want to do retail, deal with it cash. They pay as whatever, what? As long
Sure.
as it's not insurance claim kind of customers. And then
Sure.
so we did that for many years and we did good until recently he said, "Oh, we're going to start probably doing bigger repair and accepting some of this stuff." And I said,
Right.
"You know what? Sure. The kids are all grown now. I have enough time on my hands to deal with, you know, itty litty grindy work like following up with companies as far as claim payments, da 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 da
Sure.
da."
Sure.
When I was raising two kids, my two teenagers, they're teenagers now. Well, one is an adult, just became an adult this year.
Sure.
I didn't have that time. So I had to,
Congratulations on taking him to New York
yeah,
college, right?
yes, yes. Yep, I'm glad. And actually, I was telling Mike, I said, Mike, the house is kind of quiet without Avon here. And we have enough leftovers now.
Right.
He's a swimmer, so he eats a lot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
so so anyways, so now enough about that like claim stories that as far as insurance. I have stories to like share later in terms of that, but I just want to move on. So yeah, Avon is in college. Thank goodness. Next year, I'm gonna have another one going to college. So we're in the process of, applying, looking for school, blah 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 blah. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and you have more kids than me, so it's a lot
Yeah.
of work.
Yeah, but they all went to Votech colleges. They didn't go to four-year colleges. And the idea that Zelina went to a traditional school.
Hmm.
She didn't go to a Votech school. She got herself recruited, kind of like Avon. She was an athlete,
Hmm.
and she went to a school in Indiana. And either way, she's still doing PDR now. So you know,
Yeah. Well, you know what? It's weird because some people they go to college, but then they end up doing something else, right? But
yeah,
I think the experience and the knowledge that you will learn in college will be like far more, like the wisdom will be far more like valuable, I think.
sure.
I I
Well, the idea that that college the one thing that I've known, and being in a managerial position for a dealership, the one thing that they look for is the idea that if you went to college, then you can be taught. Like no matter what the position is, no matter
You
what
can be what?
the job, you can be taught. You can be learned. You can learn to do whatever job, or like because you went to school, you can learn, right? So if they give you a task or a job that you're not really familiar with, they understand they can teach it to you, right? Because you've
Uh-huh.
been to school, you know how to learn.
Uh-huh.
And that's a big plus in the corporate world.
Yes, it is. But then there's also very, very few, though, Ray, in terms of this conversation we just talking about right now. There's also probably 1%, or I don't know what's the percentage. Those people that are just like gifted, they just pick up really quickly, and they don't need college degree, right?
No, they don't.
But for average people like us, you know what I mean? Like with me, yeah, I learn a lot. But anyways, well, the story with that is that we went over there, and then from there, dropping off Ava, we went to 2 or 3 more universities. So every day we're on the go, and I dragged Mike with me and the kids. And Mike was like, "What?" I said, "You know what? Usually Mike will complain, but this time he's like, a team player because he knows that, like, hey, this is my last one that I'm, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Taking to college by next year, and then after that we have the big gap before Gabby goes. So that's good. We
Yeah.
had we had fun. We had fun.
Yeah.
I like the town. It's a small town vibe.
Oh, well,
Well,
he's going to be he went from San Diego to upstate New York. As you know, like the snow gets up to here. Like, what is
they
that
said
about? Like,
6 feet.
yeah.
They said
Oh,
6 feet.
God.
But here's the thing. I mean, I just kind of like I like the area just because it's totally opposite of what we have here, right? And
Sure.
I'm trying to show him what's out there. I don't want him to just live and be comfortable all the time. I want him to challenge himself and put him in an environment where is totally opposite of what he's comfortable with.
Sure.
Let's see how he's gonna thrive. So it's good. It will be a good experience for him. You know
Yeah,
what I
I
mean?
believe so. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So today I'm gonna make an announcement before we move on. Actually, today our topic is how to collect money from people that owes you money.
Sure.
And this is a question that was sent to me. Usually I receive some from either messenger or text. So I figured, you know what? I'll share to you guys what my golden rules are, as far as this topic right here. But before we get to that, um, I actually have an announcement to make. Probably, I don't know when, maybe next month. What is it now? September? I'm so busy that I
It
lost track of time, Ray.
it is September already. It
So,
was just February.
yes. So next month, I would say probably I'll, because me and Mike have to sit down and talk about it in details. It's like, we've been talking about it, but we've been so busy too and still trying to catch up with work that we haven't really put some thought into this. We're going to do like Inside Den Trainer for
Mhm.
people that are subscribers. I'm going to actually do some kind of like a business talk inside Den
Oh,
Trainer. And
yeah.
it's actually for our subscribers. So what that would be is like I'll be highlighting business issues, business topics, more in details, giving some pointers and suggestions. So that way, for those people that are starting their business or they
Right.
want to start a business, then they would be like, have some kind of guidance. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that's one of the announcements that I want to like put
That'll
out
be
there
pretty
for
cool.
people. Pardon?
That'll be pretty cool.
Yep. Yep, it would be because I have lots to share, after what? 22 years in the business. And prior to that, I was already working either healthcare field
Sure.
and also business field. It's like I did it all, right? When you're like supporting yourself, I didn't have the luxury of my parents supporting me, or I
Right.
can't lean to my parents because my mom was like in the same, boat as me. We're trying to just deal with our reality. Then
Yeah.
I have to like work and figure it out. But
Yeah.
anyways, so that's one of the announcement. And then another thing that I wanna let's see here, address for those folks that watches this episode or this show, the Dear Mary Show. If you guys are wondering why it's only once a month, because I have another podcast. It's actually Mary Unapologetic. And that podcast, I cover everything from life, business, and raising kids, and among other stuff. So basically, it's everything. So, folks,
And you're not apologetic about it either.
oh no. No, maybe politics too sometimes, right? Most of the time, I would just like to empower people,
Yeah.
share some stuff that will empower them or help them.
Yeah.
Because life is hard already. So I want to like simplify it. If I can simplify it for myself, then I want to share it with other people out there. You know what I
Indeed.
mean? So if you guys folks are wondering why I'm only coming on once a month, it's because I'm running businesses and also I have another podcast while raising kids and trying to have fun with my husband. You know what that means, right? Ray? Having
I
fun?
do. Yeah, I try to live by that. I try to live by that rule. Like if I can't have fun, what is the point of the rest, right? Like,
Well, speaking of that, speaking of like podcasts, I was talking to Mo. Mo said, "Oh, my dad would be a good candidate for being on the show or having his own show."
yeah.
And I'm like, I haven't talked to Ray before yet about that. So, what is this thing? I mean, are you like, thinking about it, or you are showing some interest of having your own show?
So people know that our family one is crazy like you because they're all women. But is that misogynistic? I shouldn't say it like that. They're just crazy. How about that?
You're
And
correcting yourself
yeah, maybe they're just crazy.
because you
And
labeled it
so
as women.
yeah, and
I'm not
and
offended, Ray.
and
That's why
so
you call me crazy. You know what I mean?
but you know you're crazy though. And so a lot of people know, and a lot of people follow Momo, has a huge following, and a lot of people follow Mal, right? And they know that our family is in the business.
Hold on,
And
hold on, hold on, hold on. Think about that. Don't forget what you're gonna say. You said a lot of these girls
yes,
or women have a
women,
lot of
yeah,
followers.
yes,
Where in Instagram? I don't follow
Instagram,
everybody because I'm so
yeah.
busy enough to run the
Uh,
business.
I don't know what their I don't know what their count is, and I don't know what
But is it on
what the,
Instagram or
yeah, it's on
Facebook?
Instagram. Yeah,
Instagram.
Mo is Southpaw PDR at
Hmm.
Southpaw, and Melissa is at Shorty's PDR, right? And if you guys don't follow them, get your behind in the gear and let's get with the following.
Because
And
Ray will go
so
ask you.
yeah, yeah. And so people reach out all the time, and they're like, "Hey, how did you do it? What did you do to get your family involved? How did it work?" And Mary, the ladies. I mean, they obviously went to school there, and
Mhm,
and we're all friends, uh, and our family's just really close, right?
mhm.
And so we get asked all the time, well, what about this, or how did you guys do, and because we're still, I'm just over the 5 year mark, and the ladies are a little bit less, and now we're bringing Zelina on. And people ask me these questions. Well, will you do a podcast? Will you guys talk about the struggles? Will you talk about um, what it's like bringing the family on? Will you do a podcast and you and Monique talk about how you guys got where you got? Like, and the problem that I have is that, and this because you create content, and you have a list of subjects, and
A lot of
you know
work.
yeah, and you got to come up with ideas. And while it's really easy for me and Monique, or if Melissa's on, me and Melissa, like we can talk and just be ourselves and let the subject go anywhere, and that's really easy. But when we start talking about, so here's an
Work?
example. Yeah, when you start talking about work, it's like, how did you do this? We just went to school and applied ourselves.
You're like this?
Like we work hard. Like I don't know what to say. Like it's 115 today. Like we're out in the sun. Like you know, and I don't. So we hadn't really gone anywhere. And me and Monique kind of talked about it a little bit. And the idea that we do something like that, and people reach out, often, and they're like, could you just, talk about it, and talk about the struggles you have, you know, talk about your failures, because one of the things that we have in our industry is we have a bunch of alpha personalities, and everybody's always the best, everybody's always the
You're
greatest.
talking, oh, in our industry. I like
Not
how you
in
phrase
our
that.
industry, yeah, and
You know what
and
that reminds me of, Ray? And I always told you this.
yeah,
I might mess this up. It's a phrase. Too many, too many chiefs, not enough Indians.
right,
Did I
right,
get that right?
yeah, you got it right.
I
And
usually mess it up,
yeah,
slogans and
no,
all.
that's very good. That's very good. And
You
so
get,
we have a lot of alpha personalities, and we are all extremely critical when we see work that isn't our standard, or isn't
yes.
our perfection, right? And we run into these people that, in social media, you'll run into some haters real fast and in a hurry, and they'll hurt your feelings like they don't care. And so,
Well,
we
wouldn't you think that has something to do with jealousy? I mean, besides doing the alpha, it's also jealousy.
it could be. I don't want to say that, because that leads me to believe that I know these people well enough, and while I'm friends with a bunch of people, I don't know everybody well enough to say they're jealous, right? Like I don't want to be that guy. But what I do know is that the ladies sometimes struggle. I sometimes struggle. Like we fight the dance, and even though in the end we might win, sometimes it isn't perfect, right? And one of the things way early, 5 years ago, when I came from the school, and I was starting my Instagram, and I showed a dent, and it wasn't perfect, right? It wasn't perfect. And like three people were like, hey, you didn't finish, or hey, you could have did this, or hey, you could have did that. And when they gave me examples of how to finish, I appreciated the effort, and
Mhm.
the idea that they were giving me clues on how to finish, right? But the people were like, "You suck! Like, why did you
I
collect
don't.
money on that? Like, and so from then on, I just decided I just wouldn't post finished work. Like, people are just not nice, and
So hold
I
on.
didn't.
So you're saying you're posting stuff on your social media,
Sure.
and then we're gonna go. We're gonna get into our topic
Topic.
soon. So you're
Yeah.
saying um, you post something, and then people will be overcritical and criticize you,
Sure.
like in
And and
public,
and and
obviously, which
and
is
it
really.
doesn't even have to be our industry. They do it all over Facebook.
Yeah.
Like
No,
they
no,
they
no.
do
I
all.
mean, yeah, it happens, but I'm just saying is that for I can understand what for those people that have a lot of followers, like 1 million followers or 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
But when you're only like 10,000, 5,000, 3,000, I can't believe people
1,000, Mary. 1,000. Stop it.
1,000. Okay, even with that, so
Yeah.
whoever is that, well, I don't know. Man, I mean, when you only have 1,000 and then somebody's criticizing you already, it's like it's yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the requests we get are like, hey, you guys aren't above yourself. You guys don't think more than you should. Can you talk about your struggles? Can you talk about how you guys do it? Can you talk about, like, those are the requests we get. And you know I don't, again, right? Like, again, I hadn't given much thought, but the last thing I want to do, and not that I give a piss what people think, because I truly don't,
Mhm.
but I just don't like the drama, right? Like too much drama,
Too much
right?
drama. Yeah.
And, and so the idea that we do a podcast opens and invites people to be critical, like you know, do your own podcast and leave me the fuck alone, like.
Uh-huh. No, no,
So
no. Because
you
like
know,
Mo was my guest last time. She just mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I never knew that. You thought about it at some point or it crossed your mind, right?
yeah,
But yeah, it's a lot of to do a podcast. You have to create contents, and then if it's not that, then you have to also put the time and effort to it. So if you're running a business,
yeah,
that's like, you know what I'm saying? It's
yeah,
like too much
I do,
work.
yeah,
Yeah, that's why I said and I made an announcement earlier. I only show up here once a month due to that.
yeah,
I'm also running more than one business. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, and I just don't
and
like.
kids,
I I usually like to not. I try not to mention how many because I don't want people to think and be overcritical and criticize me like saying, "Hey, you're bragging." No, it's not bragging. This is what my reality is. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
your life, mm,
Yeah. So,
yeah,
anyways, so the question is, how do you collect money? Okay, let's get to this. Um,
okay,
I have the golden rules. My golden rules is as follows. Number one, okay, try to do the preventative. And when I say I have my notes there, and when I say try to do the preventative, is that what I usually do is that whether I go into contract with someone or not, I make sure I hired an attorney.
yeah,
Hiring an attorney, people think there's a perception it's going to be so expensive, blah 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 blah. When you hire an attorney just to create the contract, it's not going to be that expensive. Now
right,
unless you're going to litigation, or maybe like you're going to court, like what, civil lawsuit,
civil
then
court, yeah,
that's when it can get expensive. But if it's just like doing some business contract for you, or even just like let's say a family member wants to borrow some money. Let's say it's a big
right,
amount, right? 5,000 is a big amount going up,
sure,
right? And you
yeah,
want that money back. So you don't want to not lend some money to your family because they're your family. You want to help them, but you want the money back. So you want to have like some kind of a contract,
sure,
unless you know your family well, that you know that person good enough that they're going to pay you no matter what. But you know what, Ray? Here's the thing with me. No matter what, I like things to be in contract, because
right,
what your relationship with someone now could be different 2 years from now, 3 years
sure,
from now, or 5 years from
absolutely,
now. You know what I
absolutely,
mean? So this is what I follow. Like I do preventative, create a contract. So before you lend your money to someone, make sure that you communicate it to the person that you're gonna have an attorney draw up a contract that you guys are both gonna sign. And
sure,
in that contract, it should highlight how long it should take them to pay it. Whether it's like, oh, okay, you should have like a conversation whether,
right.
okay, you want the money in a couple of years or 3 years, whether you want some interest in it or not, then
And
that should
we
be
and we're
highlighted
taught
in the contract.
and we are taught that if you sign a contract, it's binding. Like we get taught that from a young age in school. They have you sign rules like this is your signature. You own
Mhm.
this, like whatever it is. And so the idea that you lend somebody some money or you do something for someone on a handshake, that well, to me a handshake is binding, but
Mhm.
the idea that someone that signs something, uh, it reaffirms in their mind, because we're taught at a young age that if you sign something, you own it, right? Buy a car, buy a house, buy like
Uh-huh.
whatever. Yeah,
Well, here's the thing. Back in the old days, I think this is the great generation, maybe our grandparents, right? Or great great grandparents. Back in the old days, the contract is not as popular then. It's just basically verbal agreement, right?
right.
Or a handshake. Some people in the South are still doing handshake, and then and people are good with that. But nowadays, time change, people change. You know, you do want to have something like to protect you, like a
Sure.
contract,
Yeah,
and and the reason too is like I think I've seen it time and time again with family, this is what they fight about all the time. It's money, right? Even a couple
Yeah.
always fight about money if you think about it.
Hey, I'm going to tell you statistically, and this is a real deal now that you say that, but the number one reason why couples
Divorce?
fail is
Divorce.
because, the number one reason is because someone was unfaithful. But the number two reason statistically and very close is because of money.
Yep.
Real thing. Yeah.
Yep. That is true statistically. Yep. So so people was probably wondering, well, you know what, Mary, how do you know when you should do a contract? I always do, period. You know what I mean? There is not a scenario in, as far as so many years, me and Mike being in business, that I never done any contracts. Even the people that we've trained, we've had contracts.
Right.
You know what I mean? And here's the thing too. The thing about the contract, the reason why you do a contract, like what you just said, you sign it, it's binding.
Yep.
When somebody signed it, and let's say they still didn't want to pay you, you can take them to court. You know what I'm saying? Small claims and collect from there. Now,
and lawyer fees and court costs.
Well, when you're doing small claims, you can do it on your own if you know enough about law or filing and stuff. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you really don't know anything about filing, you can always just ask the clerk. The clerk will walk you through it. Of course, you have to ask nicely. Don't be like, and don't ask dumb questions either, because it would be annoying. I mean, ask valid questions, and they will help you to how to fill out the forms and all that stuff, what to expect. Of course, I always preach, ask the right questions. So going with that, why I do preventative is because there are times, you mentioned to me earlier, because I know you're in business, I know you've gone through this already, and you actually just told me today, Ray, that you said this actually, I guess, did you say 5 years in the business, only 2 people didn't pay you?
Yes.
And I knew, and I knew that you are have some kind of experience about this. The reason being is because, folks, you really need to look at this. If you own a business, also just automatically think that at some point there's going to be some kind of lawsuits, right? Whether it's business lawsuits, especially if you own a business, you are going to be more prone to lawsuits, or either someone suing you or you're suing someone. Correct? Yeah. So anyways, I had an experience in the past where, even my, what do you call this? My invoices, the way it's created. We created our own invoices, by the way, folks. This started when we first started the business, got the logo there. We have certain things that's on the invoice for a reason. The reason why it's there, because it's well thought of invoice. So anyways, every time we go do a job, whether it's retail or a small body shop or a big body shop or a dealership, we used to have a lot of dealerships in the past, but now there's only a few. We have people signed it. The reason being is because I talk to my technicians that if you don't get a signature, the chances of me, if they don't pay us, going after them to collect the money is 0 to none.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 0 to none.
And when we go out, one of the things when we talk about collecting money, setting the expectation for pay is really strong, right? Like you're doing, you have them sign. That's setting the expectation, right? And when we go out, and whether we're dealing with a body shop or we're mostly retail, my wholesale account is a little different because they just pay, but setting the expectation before I start work, and Ermelinda, we have an authorization even for at their house. We have an authorization. I don't use it all the time. And Ermelinda gives me the grief. She'll be like, "You just," and she gives me the business. But she does.
No,
and
because I can picture you two going at it too, like me and Mike sometimes, Bloop, bloop,
and
bloop, bloop.
uh,
At
and
the
she'll
end
be
of the
like,
day, it's like, what's for lunch?
yeah, that's how that goes. It'll be like, okay, I'll get it on the next one. What do you want to eat? And and uh, and we set the expectation and develop the rapport. In developing that communication, this is what you can expect from me, and when I'm done, this is what I expect from you, right?
Mhm.
And as long as I hold up my end of the deal, they almost always hold up their end. Like we don't usually have an issue, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my next, actually, that's my next things
Oh,
to discuss.
well, I'm
No, no,
glad
no,
I
no,
let
no.
it in
No,
then.
no. It's a no. It's a good thing you mentioned it now, because the reason also that you want to do this is because when, for example, when you go to a dealership, right? And then, or even a body shop, and let's say they stop paying. Actually, I know someone that this actually happened to them. Okay.
Right.
And I was asked the question and I answered it. And then they have the, I don't know, notion in their mind that, hey, let's talk to Mary because Mary can collect money. What is her secret? And
Right.
they think I'm like Joe Pesci from the movie,
Let me tell you a
mafia
story.
movie, that I'm going to go there with some kind of a weapon. You better
Hey,
give me my money.
let me tell you a story. This is a real deal. Uh, 5 years ago in September, I was at school with Mike, right? And I was there with the guy from China or Taiwan, but he was only there for 2 weeks and then he was out, right?
Uh,
I was there for the 4 week course, right? And not Big John, the other guy. What's the other guy's name? I forget sometimes.
you
The
talking
the
about,
surfer guy. The surfer
are you
guy.
talking about Tim?
Tim, yeah.
Mhm.
So Tim and I were talking, and Mike was saying, "Yeah, this guy owes me money." And Tim goes, "Uh-oh." And I go, and I'm new. And I'm like, "What?" And because Mike was like, "Well, that's just it. I'm going to tell Mary." And so Mike leads the charge on the idea that you are a pit bull about collecting money because Mike was like, "Well, I'll
Yes,
just
this
tell
to
Mary."
everybody.
And he's like, "I'll tell Mary." And Tim was like, "Uh-oh." And I'm like, "What? What?" And they're like, "Yeah, she's relentless. She's going to beat somebody up." I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I paid. I don't want nobody to beat me up." And I didn't know you were crazy then. Like you were just married then. Now you're crazy married. And I
You know,
know.
you know what's funny is because Mike always like tells that to people that doesn't know us or doesn't know me that well,
Yeah.
So when somebody hears the story, they really think that Mary is like a Joe Pesci, the character, Joe Pesci's character
Yeah.
in that movie, that I would go there and collect money and I have some kind of a thing to make them me
Oh,
pay.
yeah.
But
I'll break your knees. Hey, where's my money?
exactly. No, but the thing is that um the reason why the person approached me is because he's got that notion that, hey, how do you collect money?
Yeah.
This whatever XYZ company owes us money. And I was like, hold on. Time out. First of all, what is your process as far as when you do the work for them?
Yeah.
Do you guys do an invoice? Yes, we do an invoice. Okay. What's on your invoice? Okay, well, this and this and that. So going back and forth with our conversation, I'm like, you know what? Let me show you my invoice. And
Yeah.
this is what it looks like. Do you have something like this? Yeah. We have something like that. Do you have them sign it after you guys did the lot? Do you have them sign it at the bottom? No, we don't. Okay. So how are we going to go after these people that didn't pay you if you didn't hold them accountable? The key word here is accountability. If you
Yep.
didn't hold them accountable by having them sign that invoice, so
Yeah.
that way, if they don't pay you or if they're trying to, excuse my French, screw you, then you can then take further step of trying to
Yeah.
collect your money, right?
Yeah.
By taking them to small claims.
Oh, and we went to this dealership. It was a Honda dealership here in Las Vegas. And I'm gonna just tell you right now,
Mhm.
this fool was like, this fool, he was like, "Oh, we're on a rolling 90. We just pay once every 90 days." I'm like, "Are you insane?" I'm like,
Every
"My bills,
90 days?
I'm like, my bills don't come every 90 days. What do you want me to do?" And he was like, Well, that's how we do it. Guess who doesn't work on that lot anymore? Like, no. The answer is no. And they got some Yahoo over there screwing up their cars. But man, I'm gonna just tell you right now,
Don't say the Ray, don't say the company's name anymore. Okay, so the XYZ company, okay. Just looking out for you, buddy. Okay, so the XYZ company, you don't work for them anymore because 90 days, you know what?
Yeah.
They're trying to play you.
Yeah.
They
like they're gonna hold my money for 90 days. Are you crazy? Look,
it's almost like, hey, wait, let me call the people that I owe money and say my vendor, and I'll pay you later, because I don't get my money until after 90 days. No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah. No. So anyway, I live by these rules, okay, that I follow. So the first one is preventative. Make sure you always have a contract. Now remember, last time I mentioned something about, last time, the last podcast I had with Mo, I said that I'm going to incorporate business here, like the work we do in the PDR industry. So if you are serving the dealership, providing dent service to them, make sure they sign the invoice. And make sure that invoice is written in a way where it's going to protect you. So that's the next thing that I want to talk about, because not everyone can write a contract that can actually protect you when you are in front of the judge, because everybody says, oh, I can write that. But guess what? People will always, attorneys will find loopholes to unravel this contract that you signed with someone, and it wouldn't be binding in front of the judge.
Yes, the law is about English. Absolutely.
Exactly. The jargons that they use, right? Luckily for me, it's so easy to understand the legal jargons that attorneys use. So that's why all this stuff come to me on my desk, and I read through everything, read the fine print, ... Sometimes I even have like pages, like probably a binder this much, especially, when we did our living trust, right? You have to do a living trust, folks. If you don't, you can be bound for, what do you call this? Probate. You know what probate is, right?
Yeah. That's when the government takes half.
Well, it's not just
they determine should you pass on who gets what and why. That's probate.
Though the probate is, that's for the living trust. Yeah. It should entail who gets what. The probate, actually, what probate does, this is what I found out, is that basically, let's say we have a house, something happened to me and Mike. Well, guess what? My kid's not going to get my house right away if I don't have a living trust. The government will put a pause on it. Then while it's in the pause, it will be taxed. So it's a percentage, by the way. So if, let's say, you have a home that's $500,000, I believe, I don't know if it's 3% or if it's 10%. I don't remember exactly. Don't quote me on this. But my attorney told me how much, and then I calculated it. I'm like, hell no, I'm not going to do something stupid and not protect my kids. This is their property if I'm gone, because they're my kids. So why would they have to pay taxes on something that they already own? That doesn't make sense, right? So make sure you have a living trust. And the only reason why I mentioned that is because the living trust is about this thick. I'm like, I can't read all of this, especially the fine print. And I just skim through it, the important part. And actually, I asked the attorney, what's important here right now? Because you want me to sign it. I don't want to sign anything. That's going to take me forever to read. What's important? How many pages? I'm going to read through that really quick and then sign and then read the rest later. So there's a way to do it. So you want to make sure it's written properly and valid. Because if it's not a valid contract, then it doesn't hold up in court. Now, going back to my example, a few years ago, I don't know if it's 10 years ago. Oh, it's in 2000. Now I remember 2008, because that's when we had the financial meltdown. Yes. Actually, it was 2007. Between 2007 2008, this small body shop owes us money. He said, oh, yeah, I'll pay you later. But then in the meantime, I have work for you to do. can you send your technicians? So I'm kind of like hesitant to send our technicians. But my husband said, "Oh, don't worry, just send so and so. They're good." Blah 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 blah. I'm like, okay, but you know me, I'm just like, red flags. How many red flags am I gonna see here? But I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna give you a chance, give you the benefit of the doubt because Mary's nice. Yes, I'm crazy once in a while.
Okay.
But anyways,
As
not
long as you
crazy to
add
be
that in there, Mary, I don't, you got to add that in there.
Folks, by the way, when me and Ray call each other crazy, it's an endearment, right?
Do you
That's
call
why I
me
feel
crazy?
your that's why I
You
fit in
call me
your
crazy?
family.
What the heck?
It's our, it's the way of we call each other. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But anyways, so what
Or
ended
you're
up
just crazy.
so anyway, what ended up happening was after I started noticing that the bill's going up and the guy hasn't paid me yet, keeps promising me the moon, nothing is happening. Obviously, I said, I got to put a break on this. And I did. And then so I said, look, I can't believe that you guys don't want to pay. I'm done with your promise, over promise, under deliver. And I'm like, I'm going to have to resort to other means now. So I gave him a warning to make it right. And he didn't make it right. So I took him to small claims. And guess what? I won. Why? Because he signed those invoices. I had to bring my evidence. So I have like stacks of invoices to show the judge that,
Sure.
hey, he approved the work. He understood what he's going to be paying me for, but he didn't pay. And he didn't show up. So I won. Then how to collect the money?
Yeah.
Well, guess what? He figures he's just going to run away and he thinks I'm going to go away. Well, it's the principle behind it. I'm a person with, what is that saying? People
Crazy.
with principles, right? So living with, yeah. So I'm like, I'm not going to let this person get away with this kind of stuff. So what I ended up happening is that I put a lien on his house.
Oh.
I found out his home where he lives. I put a lien on his home. And that was before the financial meltdown in 2008, as well as before the housing bust. So I've, went out of my way and asked, would he be able to sell this house if I put a lien on it? They said no. And I said, okay, good. And then they said, we're going to contact you if he end up selling the house. So till to this day, I'm wondering what happened to him, but you know what I mean? I think he's like still holding on to this house. I don't know, whatever that is, but he can't sell it. So unless something happened, you know what I mean? Something big happened. Okay, so moving on to the next one. Second rules I follow in life is lending to friends and family. I have certain rules, Ray. I'll ask you after I share mine.
Sure.
If I have a friend who wants to borrow money, obviously, if it's a big money, we're going to go in the contract. Same thing with the family. But if it's a small amount, I just consider it as like, I call it charity. I don't expect, especially when I lend it to family. I just figured, you know what? My siblings having a hardship right now, they need money. Okay, I'll give it to them, but I'm not going to tell them that, hey, it's for free or it's a charity. I'm just saying, okay, here it is. Now, if they want to return the money back out of their own will, just surprise me, then I'll be like, oh, okay, now I see you. You know what I mean? And I actually have a brother that's good at paying me. If he borrows money, he pays me. We don't have to do any contract. He's good with his money. So anyways, that's my thing with this number 2 rules. What's yours, Ray?
So for me, it's really simple, right? One, I don't ever lend outside of my own budget, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the number is.
Good rules to follow. Okay.
And two, Ermelinda has to say okay because I don't want to sleep on the couch. But
what's Ermelinda's secret?
Yeah, whew, I don't want to be in no trouble. And so, but three, and more importantly, like you, if it's a family member or a friend, and when I say this, and you guys know this to be true, if I consider myself your friend, which is different than you being my friend, which is different. If I consider myself your friend and I lend you money or I give you money, right? Uh, I write it off. It's a gift, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
like because you can have your friendship or your family member, or you can have your money. But if they fail to pay you, you don't get to have both, right? Like if they fail to pay you and you're gonna get mad about it, you can either have your money or you can have your friendship. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I consider myself to be your friend, money don't get to come between us, right? Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
the way that I am. And if I lend you money, right, and you never pay me back, one, you never get to borrow it again. But two, I write that money off. And if you pay me back and you need money next time, well, you paid me back, so I'll lend it to you next time. But I don't hound people over it, over small money, because what'll happen is you'll lose your friendship, and that's just the way that it is.
Let me ask you something because you mentioned that. Do you give them some kind of a warning or some kind of cues that, hey, or clue that if you don't return this money I'm lending you, you don't get to borrow any more money from me in the future? Or
Well,
it should be an
my,
understanding.
my clue goes just like this: if you don't pay me back, I'll never lend you money again.
So you do verbally mention it.
I just say it, right? It's like a band-aid. You got to rip that joker right off of there because money is one of them topics that people are uncomfortable about, right?
Mhm,
Like they don't like to talk about money. It's embarrassing, it's
mhm,
uncomfortable. And
mhm,
so if you just say it, if you put it out there, the same way that you would deal with a customer and you go, look, this is what I'm going to do for you, and when I fix this car, I expect you to pay me. That it has to be treated the same way. You're like, look, I'm
mhm.
lending you this money. If you don't pay me back, I'll just never lend it to you again. If you just say it, right, then there's no ambiguity, right? Like there's like, and you know, and then
Like
if
you're crystal clear with your message.
yeah, it's very
There
clear,
shouldn't be any reason for an excuse.
right?
Oh,
Right.
I
That
like that. Maybe that's why you're crazy, I'm crazy.
hold on, what? We are on
No,
different
no, no,
levels,
no, because
Mary.
I have the same mentality, Ray. But
Yeah,
here's the thing. I either mention it sometimes to people, or there should be a silent understanding that, hey, if I'm gonna lend you money, you need to return it.
yeah.
You know
Well,
what I mean?
so well, if I say it up front and you never pay me back, I'm never going to ask you for it, right? Like maybe you're not through your hard time, but if I lend you money and then let's say I lend you money, Mary. I lend Mary money. I don't
Mhm.
need to because you guys are ballers. But let's say I lend you money.
We're
Yeah.
poor, we're not ballers.
Well, you got a kid in New York, and so I come to California or whatever, and I see you guys got the new car, and you guys are blowing up, and you're out partying and doing this. You know what I remember? I remember I lent you money, and you got a new car, and you didn't pay me. Like that's how I remember. And then you'll never get money again. Like that's just how that works, right? Like okay, I lent him my money, I ate that
Mhm.
one, right? But you never get it again, right? Like you never get it again.
But here's the thing though, Ray. If that actually happened, let's say, the way I would see it is that if that happened to me, let's
Yeah,
say I see you blowing up and I lend you money like a few years back and you don't give me an initiation or the initiative that, hey, I'm paying you someday, or not even a warning that, hey, maybe in a couple of months I'll pay you. If it's
sure.
cricket on your end, the way I would look at it, it's gonna make our relationship, our friendship weird. Being around you, it'd be so weird because I'm
Yeah.
the type of
I,
person that it's all it's the principle behind it for me.
well, and I agree with that. And but then that goes back to the first thing. If I said I was your friend and I was friend enough to lend you the money, and then I write it off as a gift. If you blow up and don't pay me back, and that's kind of what I was saying earlier, simply because I say I'm your friend, you saying you're my friend don't have the same meaning, right? They're different. And if I'm your friend and I help you, and you don't pay me back, but you blow up, that just means that your friendship to me is different than my meaning, right? Like it's different. right?
So you're looking at it in a different light.
Yeah, right. And so and that goes back like what I said. You know, you can either have your friendship or you can have your money, but you don't get them both, right? Like
Uh-huh.
they have to be your friend and pay you back. Like that's just how that works.
Yeah. There should be like an understanding that, hey, I got to pay this person because you're kind enough to lend me some money when I need it.
Yeah.
Then out of respect, I think the word here is respect. If you respect someone, you'll just return the money back.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
It's
Right.
it's the respect. Yeah. Wow.
I agree.
What happened to this light? This light.
You
We
got a
have a
strobe
light
light
here
in the
that
back. You got a strobe light in the back. We just hit
it's
the
this
disco.
light, right? Whoa. It's like going
Are you getting ready to
bananas
John
here.
Travolta your
Oh.
move?
It's going bananas here. Yeah. Hey, guess what? I just mentioned bananas, but Gwen Stefani wrote a song that says bananas. I think we should stop probably calling each other crazy sometimes. It should be like bananas. You know why? Because if you call somebody crazy, they might think we're really crazy, and take that literally.
Mary.
But you know what? Only
You are
English
crazy,
have
Mary. You are crazy.
Here's the thing, Ray. Okay, here's the thing, though, Ray. Only in the English language that crazies or crazy could mean two meanings.
Oh,
One
in
is
Tagalog,
bad
it
and
has
one
a
is
different
good.
meaning in Tagalog. Is that what you're saying? In Tagalog, it's different.
No. I mean, if you think about it in French, in German, or in in other languages or Spanish or whatever, they don't have one word that would have two meanings, or sometimes English will have three meanings.
Right.
Like you could say, it depends on how you worded it in a sentence. You can say,
Right.
hey, you're crazy. That means you're cool. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's also saying, hey, you're crazy. I don't want to mess with you because you're really crazy.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm talking about?
When I refer to you, I shouldn't call you crazy. I should call you certifiable. No?
No.
That's not what you mean.
No, I'm just saying when you actually you told me when we first met, you said, hey, I'm crazy. And I think I'm going to call you crazy because you would fit in my family. That's exactly what you said to me. And that was
Sounds
the first.
like something Mel would say, not me, but that sounds like something Melissa would say. And for those of you that know Melissa, she's crazy too. Like, shoot.
Oh my gosh. No, but that's what you said to me. I remember it. Barbadium like that. And it was in Minnesota when you first said that. Anyways, moving on. I just thought I would point it out that our English language would only have, it's the only language in the world that would have, one word with two different meanings.
Yeah.
Depends on actually how you say it in a sentence. But anyways, so my third rules. Okay, don't break the contract or any law out there. Because if you break one of these, which is what's said on the contract, then you lose your rights as a person that can win the case if you sue the other person, right? Or if you break a law that pertains to the contract, it's the same thing. You're in the losing battle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? Yeah. So why do I always want to do a contract? Because I know I'm not going to do any of this stuff on my end, but I don't know what you're going to do on your end. Right. So whoever that person is, that end, it's like questionable, but I know I will never break that contract. Right. Because otherwise, why even create it? Correct?
Yeah. Be as good as your word. Right?
Yes. Perfect example. I preach about this when we had our mega media in Texas this year. I talked about when you hire somebody to work for you, make sure they sign or you guys have like an employee handbook. And in that employee handbooks, that's what I actually have, for us, for Den Time and Bumper Time, in that employee handbook, I made my people sign the at-will clause. Well, guess what? At some point, when I hired somebody and I let go of that person,
didn't you?
I let go of that person. Hold on, did Mike talk to you?
No, I'm just saying.
At some point, when I let go of that person, I don't have to explain to you why I'm firing you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It should be an at will on that end or in on this end. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yep.
So so here's the thing. Well, the person broke the employee handbook contract, what was said on that. So obviously I let go. And guess what? I knew that person also gonna apply for what's the biggest thing right now?
Unemployment.
Unemployment.
Yeah.
Unemployment. When you fire somebody, automatically they're gonna apply for unemployment. Think about that. That should be an automatic in your mind. But
Yeah.
you cannot not fire somebody because if they broke what the contract, if there's a breach of contract, what are you going to do? Put up with it? No. You know, the damage is going to be even bigger, right? So you got to let go of that person. But I thought about this too. I'm going to, excuse my French, you screw me this way, and then now you're going to file unemployment to collect more money from me. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So when I received a phone call from EDD, of course, I had to disclose all this stuff. And knowing me, knowing what I know about human resources stuff, because I have a background on that,
Yeah.
I still have to consult with an attorney because I don't want any loopholes that person will be able to collect unemployment. You're
Sure.
not going to, my mentality on this is you're not going to screw me twice on this. You know,
Yeah.
first you breach the contract and then you're going to try and collect money that I'm going to have to pay for your unemployment. That's not going to happen. So don't mess with Mary.
And then they're wondering why you're out there, the hound dog out there collecting the money. Oh.
Oh my gosh. And guess what? You know what, Ray? Going back to this, actually, you know, the advice I gave the person going back to the story, you know, about the invoice and they were not able to collect money from whatever, I think it's a XYZ company, whether it's a dealership or a body shop. My advice to them is that, look, if you don't have them sign the invoice, guess what? Two things can happen. They can easily screw you. Second, you're giving them room to screw you.
Yeah.
Right? To not pay you. Because they're thinking, wait a minute, this company is working for me. I owe them money, but they're not protecting themselves. Well, guess what? Some people might take advantage of that. Why even give them room to take advantage of you?
You can actually, and I've seen this not specifically in the PDR world, but in a different realm when I was at the dealership.
Mhm.
You can actually show up into court, and the people that you did the work for will go, I don't know what they're talking about. And you go, well, I have these invoices. I never saw those invoices. They never did the work. I don't know what they're talking about. I don't know why I'm here, Judge. And the judge goes, well, did they sign the invoices? No. And they don't have a case at all.
Mhm. They don't have a case.
All they have to do is say, I didn't authorize any work, and you're
Mhm.
done. Yeah,
Mhm.
true. It's a true deal.
Also, when you have the customer sign the invoice first in California, okay? Because we have BAR here. BAR stands for Bureau of Automotive Repair. If you work on cars, you have to be certified by them.
Yep.
You have to have a BAR number because BAR is supposed to, you know, it goes back and forth. You know what I mean? Consumer, business.
It's
The
just
bar is
another way
supposed
for
to.
California to take more money. What are you talking about?
No. Actually, the bar is also supposed to protect the consumer because there are companies out there, body shops. I'm not going to name who, or small, you know, mechanic, kind of whatever, technician can fraud you for any repair. Who are you going to go to?
Yeah.
As a consumer. So the bar is there for the consumer. But here's the thing, two things that happened during the pandemic. Remember when they said they don't know who's the essential business and it's not? Well, I use that certificate that we're essential because we are part of the auto industry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
We did the same.
you did the same thing? Yeah. So it worked for us. And plus, guess what? Yeah, we're paying them. It's not that much. It's $200 a year. That's nothing. And that's a write-offs. So why would you even like penny pinch everything? I'm not talking to
about
you.
California. I don't know. I'm just
No,
saying.
I'm not talking to. I mean, I'm just saying this in general. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I understand people's gonna be like, "Oh, it's just another way of collecting money from you." But if you really think about this, you should look at it in this light.
Yeah.
It's a write off,
Yeah.
and it can protect you someday. I didn't know that I would be able to use it during the pandemic, and I did, and that's why we were able to still service our customers and stay open. You know what I'm saying? So that is, let me see here. Don't break. So we talked about that. Number 3. Number 4. I think I mentioned this already. Lawsuits. Always think that when you are in business, always think that lawsuits at some point will be
Can happen.
part of your business. You should just think that it's part of your business. So anything you do when you are basically operating your own business, to have a process that can protect you from future lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? Like my mindset is always like that. When we first started the business, I'm thinking, okay, the biggest thing that I don't want to end up having to deal with is like lawsuits. So how do I prevent it? Whether
Right.
I'm dealing with my retail customers or my dealerships. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm aware. And they drive like crap in this city. And that's like one of my biggest fears, because our cars are wrapped and say dent effect on them.
Mhm.
And there's two things, and this is going just to touch off subject, but there's two things that you see advertisement here all the time. And one is erectile dysfunction, and that's crazy. But two is lawyers for lawsuits for injury. And you can be in the smallest accident, and you can go get a lawyer, and you're going to stick it to them. Like, that's just how that is here. And they just drive. This is the number one claim center in the country in Las Vegas, and they drive so bad here. It is amazing to me how bad people drive here. It's insane. And
You know
that's
why?
yeah, they don't care. They get all the gambling, they start drinking, and they're like, oh, bam, hit
Yeah,
a car.
that's one of the reasons, and we have a lot of probably tourists going over there who can't drive.
Yeah, from California. I know. That's what I'm saying.
It's not just California. It's from other states too. Like,
Mhm.
let's say senior citizen, or maybe like, Vegas is the number, probably, I wouldn't say number one sought out place, but maybe it's right there on the top for people to visit, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's they said
New
it's the
Year's,
city that doesn't sleep.
New Year's Eve, New Year's, when they set off the fireworks, there'll be 300,000 visitors downtown, or on the strip. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say downtown, on the strip. It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's insane. And they all drive bad. What the shit? Like, they all drive bad.
Hey, you've seen me drive. What's your opinion about my driving? Am I a bad driver?
You drive like a Californian.
What is a Californian driver? What is that?
I don't even know how to define it, Mary. I don't even know how to define it.
Well, okay. You've seen Mike drives because you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a
Yeah, but
Californian driver?
when you have the Challenger that goes 600 horses, you're supposed to drive a certain way. Like,
It's
you
not
don't treat
600
that thing.
horses. It's
You don't
almost
treat
800.
you don't. Oh, 800. Oh, yeah. Look at yeah. You don't treat that thing like a Prius, right? Like you get and go. Like, I'm just saying.
No, but Ray, what I'm saying is that, what's your evaluation of Mike's driving skills? Is that a Californian? I'm trying to get an idea what our Californian driving.
No, California.
like.
I'll tell you. This is the thing. Is Californians drive fast. They don't believe in a blinker. And 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 they get where they're going at a high rate of speed. So,
I didn't know we drive fast.
oh my God. What?
I didn't.
You live in California, right?
I guess because I see it, every day.
The speed limit's 55. We all do 80, and that's pretty normal. Like,
Yeah,
that's
if
not
it's
bad.
55, we do 80, because who would want to go 60
You mean
when
the
everyone's
law?
going 80?
You mean the law?
I mean, when everyone's going 80, that's why it's called the speed of traffic.
Is that what that's called? Is that what that's called? Uh, yeah, we don't drive fast. It's only 20 miles over the speed limit. Everybody's going the same speed. Who needs a blinker? Like,
I use my blinker once in a while I don't, but I
once
most
in
for
a
the
while.
most part, for the most part I do. But here's the thing. What
But
I'm
when you're
saying,
doing 80, when you're doing 80, you click your blinker, it's one blinking over. You're doing 80.
okay, hold on. Let me ask you something. Okay, if you were to compare Californians versus Nevada, how do you differentiate the two?
Oh, it's not even a comparison. The California drivers are way safer by a long shot. Way safer.
Okay, so
Way
somebody's worse than
way
us then.
oh, there's an I've been so me and Ermelinda talk about this sometimes, and we talk to people, and I tell this story, and this is not a lie. This is true. We stood on the side of this vehicle in case they swerved or became unsafe. We were going to honk our horn. Now check this out. At 70 miles an hour, we pull up alongside of this lady. At 70, she was on her phone like this. Pay attention.
Oh no.
Watch this. She was on her phone, and I want you to count by 1,000, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003. Count like that, right? Ready? She was like this. 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004,
How is
1,005,
she seeing
1,006, 1,007,
the way?
1,008. 8 seconds. 8. 8 seconds. 8 seconds, right? She was facing her phone for 8 seconds at 70 miles an hour. And I only know because I was driving and Ermelinda was watching her. And I
Were
was
you
like,
guys side by side or you're behind
yeah,
her?
we were side by side. She didn't even know we were next to her.
Did
And
you honk?
well, she eventually looked up and we moved on because she was just, being ridiculous. But that's how unsafe they are here. They'll wait, like they know 2 miles back, they're going to get off at whatever exit. They'll know 2 miles back, and the exit will be coming, and they'll be doing 65, and they'll go from the HOV lane off ramp. I wonder why I'm angry all the time.
Because you're stressed from all
Yeah,
the
they're
drivers
stressing
that's
out,
there.
man. Yeah, I'd be cussing at nobody. I'd be like, ah.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. But
Thanks.
anyways, Ray, so do you have anything to add to what I have talked
Well,
about?
I just want to reiterate that when you're dealing with whoever it is, whether it be a business, whether it be a retail, right? When it comes to collecting money, right? Expectations should be set in both directions on their part. If and if they would have said, and I'm the ABC company I said earlier, you said don't mention their name. If they would have said, hey, you're new to our company, we're a 90-day pay, are you willing to accept that? And I had time to think about it and say, okay, yeah, we can work with that. They're setting my expectation, right? And then as long as they paid every 90 days, that would have been something. But
it's the way they said it.
Yeah,
the delivery.
You can't just 90-day me and be like, oh, no. And so when you're dealing with people, and I really believe that one of the MTE classes should be, customer relations, how to deal with customers, that kind of thing, because we get so involved in the technical side of what we do that we forget that there's people on the other side, right? And if you set your expectations going in, right, like you said, have them sign, make sure they understand what they're getting, make sure they understand what they're paying, and if in your relationships, if you've dialed it in where they trust you and you're comfortable and you can say what needs to be said without being offensive, and if you've fostered that relationship and you guys are straight, then you're able to say, hey, you guys haven't paid me, I need you to pay. I'm sorry, Ray, we're going to be right on that, like, because you've dealt with them and expectations are set and everybody is familiar with the process. And when you develop the relationship and you set the expectation, guys, payment shouldn't be an issue.
Well, here's the thing too, right? It's not just the expectation. I think it's that maybe if he or if that person said it in a different way,
Sure.
where it's didn't come out like, "Hey, you have no choice. This is it.
Yeah.
The choice
Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
have is only
Yeah.
this choice." If that person gave you an option or a
Sure.
choice to, like what you just said, give you some time to think about it,
Yeah.
make you decide, or give you the choice that you want to, whether you want to take it or not, then it would have been a different
Yeah.
outcome.
Or just be part of the working relationship, right?
Mhm.
Going in like, hey, this is how we do business. And if you don't want to be part of that business, that's cool. Just don't bring me in, right? Like, give me the chance, right?
Well,
Don't
I think some of these companies, the way they approach this is that, hey, eh, they try to approach it in a tough kind of manner, like,
Yeah.
hey, either my way or the highway, right. So that's why with me, the way I approach things is like, I want to give people some choices,
Sure.
make them choose, or what they want to do, so that way there's no resentment there, so that way there's more willing of let's work together, you know what
Yeah.
I mean. I
You
want
just
to
don't
be
quit
a
the
team
account.
player, you know
Yeah.
what I mean. I
Yeah.
want to work with you.
Yeah.
Even though it's 90 days, maybe I can like tweak something with my bills on this side. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Give you they should have given you a choice. Hey, I just want to give you
Well,
a heads up. This is
well, I
what it
thought they
is.
sprung it on me like that, I go in, I'm like, hey, I haven't got paid. What's happening? Well, we only pay 90 days. Well, shouldn't that have been mentioned at the beginning? If you don't like it, then don't work here. Like,
That's what they
okay.
said.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't like it, oh my gosh.
I'm like, okay.
Well, the first sentence is already negative and it's bad
Yeah.
already. And then to follow it up with, if you don't like it,
Well,
then don't work here.
and
That's
and
even
well,
like,
and a lot of the watchers out there that do dealerships, they already know how those folks are. They're very aggressive and snooty, and they're very
Mhm.
high maintenance. Like, the PDR people know. But the one thing that I don't have to do is I don't have to take your lip, right?
Mhm.
A younger Ray might have hit somebody. Like, yeah, no, you're not talking to me that way. Like, I'm
Yeah.
out. Like, because all you do is you set yourself up for future failure. Because if I allow you to talk to me like that now,
Mhm.
when you're comfortable with me, now you can just say anything, and anything just doesn't work, right? Like, it just
Mhm.
doesn't. And so you have to put your foot down sometimes.
Yeah. I just think that their delivery, and probably they haven't learned how to like treat people or talk to people, because seriously, right? If like, you just made a point, if they're talking to me that like that now, what is it then after 1 year, 2 years
Yeah.
that we already have a relationship? They're gonna treat me even more
Yeah.
bad, right?
If you don't like it, we'll get somebody else. Like, yeah, no.
Yeah. The when I hear that, Ray, I think to me it's like a tough talk. But does it work? You know what I mean? I think there's certain things that might work, but certain things, I mean, certain scenarios that
Yeah.
kind of talk would work, but certain
Well, the thing is, I
scenarios
just
not
don't
gonna
bluff.
work.
If you talk to me like that, I'd be like, okay, I'm out. Like, I just don't bluff. Well, okay, like,
Yeah,
I'll roll on. Like,
yeah,
like, I wasn't your technician when I came here. I won't be your technician after I leave. Like, okay, like, you find some other dummy to let you talk to him that way. I'm not gonna do it, right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm
You
too
have
old for
to.
that mess, man. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you have to treat people nice, I think,
Yeah,
because you just don't know. Who knows? Like what you said, now they have somebody there that's probably not going to do as good as you. And you just said that earlier.
yeah, definitely.
They lost probably an opportunity to work with you.
Well, and the thing, and this is not a bragging point in the idea that I'm bragging. So anybody watching, please don't take it that way. But uh, you know, when someone hires Denefect, right, and we come in and they go, man, we have 30 vehicles, or hey, we have 15 vehicles. I can make a phone call and have my whole team here, which is all family. So
Yes.
you can't tell me I can't come in because I know what you're doing. You're my family. Get your ass moving. Like you know, I can have a whole team fixing dents right away, right? Like right
Mhm.
now. And and so, the idea that I don't have to separate them out. I can call them all in, give them guidance, and they all go to work fixing dents, and we can blow through 20 vehicles, right? Like, so the idea that they have one guy who's not as good as any of the ladies on my team, right, doing their work, well, that's their loss, right? Because they want to be snooty, like, that okay. But I'm too old to allow people to speak to me in just any manner, right? Like, I'm just not doing it. Like, that's
Yeah.
insane, right? Like, I'm just not. And we went to Jamaica a while back, and me and Ermelinda, she laughs at me because the Jamaican people are all really very nice. Like, everybody goes out of their way to be friendly, to say hello, and not even people that are part of your resort or trying to give you service or sell you anything, just everybody. And I told her, Melinda, I'm like, you know what it costs to be nice? It costs nothing to be nice, right? And having been to Jamaica, it made me open my eyes to my own conduct, right? Like, and I try to be nice to everybody. I say hello to everybody. I try to talk to everybody, and it's just a thing, right? Like, I want to be nice. I don't need to be a jerk, right? And it's a thing. It's a thing.
Well, you know what, Ray? We've been here for an hour and 15.
That's because you talk a lot.
Hey, where's my cell phone? Oh, my cell phone is not here. The next topic that I have for next month, I want to actually mention it because it's actually one of the questions that I didn't get to cover. I think I'm gonna oh, here's my cell phone. Hold on, folks.
She's crazy.
So I want to bring you in again, Ray, for next
Me?
time. Yeah, if you want and if you're available. You and I can talk forever.
I might be sick that day.
Hey, you can't call in sick. I know when you're calling in sick. Okay, so the next, because I had two questions, and then Mo basically decided, oh, Mary, this topic that we covered today sounds more it sounds more inviting or more, I guess, less drama or whatever
Sure.
that is. But you know what? That's what this show is for. Dear Mary, let's tackle some hard problems, whether in life, at work, or something else, right? Because life is hard. Let's simplify it. So I think next time, the next topic I want to cover is how do I deal with family members that are causing family trouble?
I don't know if I'm a good one for that because I let a lot of crap slide. Like, shoot. I let a lot of crap slide. I wouldn't be a good one for that. But how do I deal with family members? I might want to watch on that one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like, I just figured, okay, I'll bring you in next time.
Okay.
Obviously, if you're available.
Yeah. It should be all right. I don't
Okay.
I don't want to say no and be like, oh, Ray, I don't want to be that guy.
Next time I see you, you'll be like, hey, where's my bow and arrow here?
Yeah, that Monique boy, she stuck me up, right? Well, my dad will be on it. Like, how do you volunteer someone else? How does that work?
No, she just, but no, I was already thinking about you because when we did the podcast last month,
Sure.
You keep popping in, hey, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, hey, I'll bring in, Ray. And then I had a small, quick conversation with her because, we were talking about house. And then she said something about you. And I said, oh, okay. Well, I'll ask Ray. It's not like I talk to you every day. We're so busy. It's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on my podcast. So we'll see you next month.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Okay. Bye, everyone.